Welcome, everybody. Right, I'll be your host today, Manish Agarwal. I'm the CRO for Vorro.net. We specialize in integrations and interoperability across the majority of the healthcare platform, but with other industries. I have the pleasure of having my friend Bob Kerb with me, the Senior Vice President of Account Management at EHO-R-X, which is a pharmacy benefit management company that really serves a lot of different industries, but workers' compensation, which is a very demanding setting, specializing in hospice, jail settings, and correctional facilities, as well as others. And then we wanted to just go through with you guys how EHO-R-X manages demographic and medications at scale, right? And really get, Bob, your input on how you're leading the pack and what you're seeing with the combination of the Vorro partnership across the boards and integration services overall as well. So with that being said, Bob, if you can please introduce yourself and EHO-R-X, we'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, so I'm Bob Kerb. It's good to be here today, and working with Vorro, they've been a very important part, in particular with our hospice line of business, because everything with hospice requires fast movement, and so we have the EMR companies, which are basically the first point of truth, where that nurse or caregiver goes in, profiles the patient, adds all of the medications, etc. Well, we work with Vorro to build real-time integrations from that EMR into EHO's database. So we're capturing in near real time all of the demographic information and all of the medication information, which then makes that patient eligible to be able to receive medications as soon as they're profiled by that nurse or caregiver. Because in hospice, everything has to be fast and efficient.
Yeah, and they don't really have the facility to go get the medication and do all this work. Like, you guys are providing them a major lifeline, right? I mean, I think you said 60% of the hospice cares in the U.S. are served by EHO-R-X.
It's a large number, yes, sir.
That's great. That's amazing. And I mean, again, and just tell us a little bit more about the entire integration lifecycle. How does Vorro help you with that?
Well, all of these different EMR vendors have different code varieties they use. They might use Fire. They may use HL7. There's just all sorts of different ways that that they're sending that data. And so rather than putting our developers into having to create and keep up to date and maintain all of those interfaces, we utilize Vorro's talent for that. Basically, Vorro has the ability to do the integrations in whatever the EMR can throw at them. And so that really takes a lot of that pain off of our plate.
Yeah, and I love the focus statement. The right medications reach the right patient at the right time. And it all has to be done securely, which is not, that's super important. Cost controls also, can you talk a little bit about how cost controls and clinical safety are part of the big kind of focus statement for EHO-R-X?
Well, I mean, from a real cost perspective, you're saving the hospice a lot of money. And, that's really a big thing, because a lot of these hospices are stretched thin.
Yeah.
So if you're taking out the double, or in some cases even triple data entry for these caregivers, you're saving them a lot of time and just a lot of trouble at the end of the day. Because not only do we have Vorro doing interfaces from the EMR into EHO's internal systems, we're also working with Vorro to do parallel interfaces to go from the EMR vendors directly into the e-prescribing software. So that way the data all matches up between the EMR, EHO, and the e-prescribing platforms. Everything is the same and maintained all in near real time.
I mean, that's got to be amazing for the hospice care units, right? I mean, like you said, they're so strapped for cash. When they're picking up incorrect medication, they take a big hit, right? Or they're taking medication that doesn't fit the patient profile anymore. They usually have to absorb that cost. So with your ability to kind of have a real-time eligibility and checking that medication for your patients, you're saving them from having to make difficult decisions.
Absolutely. And all of those medications are bounced off of these hospice-specific formularies. And all of those formularies are designed for, of course, palliative care, along with the most potential cost savings we can safely provide.
That's amazing. Let's switch topics to the integration. I know you spoke about it before. So I know we help you with the different EHRs and EMRs. Vorro has over 100 EMRs that we connect to, 1,000 different connection types. The formats that you're usually using are the Fires and the HL7s for predominantly with JSON. Is that an accurate statement?
I mean, I would say that is accurate, but the beauty of it is I really don't have to know because Vorro takes care of everything.
Very good point. All right. As long as I can get data from one spot to another, I'm happy.
That's
you
right.
guys figure it out.
It's as long as it is consistent and the uptime is good and it is secure. I mean, I don't need to get into the weeds on it.
That's the best way you could have said it, actually. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, before we kind of were partnered up, what was the integration kind of flow? Like, what were some of the challenges that you were dealing with?
We had been able to do integrations, but it strapped our programmers for time that, we figured we could better utilize them in other areas rather than, building out these integrations and, just spending time working with the various EMR vendors and a lot of the, like our programmers don't specialize in fire. So, it helps us a lot just being able to work with someone that does.
Yeah, I find that a lot, right? We even other bigger companies are trying to staff for multiple roles within a single person, right? Mm-hmm. And integrations are a finicky kind of piece, right? So like when they go down, like everybody jumps on it, but you have to relearn kind of what broke, and having a dedicated person just doesn't make financial sense. So I'm glad that we can kind of help compensate your team to do what they do best and allow us to kind of take over some of the maintenance piece, which, we do day in and day out. So it makes it more feasible for us to have a 24/7 live support on it.
And in today's environment, if you don't have an interface with the EMR, you're most likely not going to get the client.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think everybody now expects it to be wired up completely, right? And really integrated across the board. Data is still king, right? If you can't get the data, you're just going to lose contracts, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the ability for both of our systems to talk to each other.
That has absolutely been my experience.
Tell me about, what does it mean for leadership time, engineering time, and focus for like repeatedly being pulled off of high value work? How did that change your paradigm a bit?
It changed the dynamics dramatically. Because, we have our programmers dive into a lot of very sophisticated and difficult problems, coming up with solutions for them. And they don't have time to be bouncing around, working with these multiple vendors and maintaining the uptime, generating reports of failures and, just all of that back end communication that keeps things running smooth.
That's fantastic. Onboarding timelines. How do you think we do? If we
fantastic. I would say a new integration with a new EMR vendor is normally about 7 to 10 days. But if we already have an established integration with the EMR, and we bring on a new customer, it's up and running in no time. It's fabulous.
So look at that time crunch. So I know I'm biased here as the Vorro rep, but usual integration times with a large EMR from when the market tells me is 6 months. And you heard it from our customer directly. We got it down to 7 to 10 days. Really phenomenal.
I will put it this way, that any of the delays have been on the EMR side and not on the Vorro side.
That's so true. I'm trying to get that secret key. It's like, digging a hole. But I'm glad, and this is kind of what we strive to, right? Time to revenue is king in any business. In medical, for sure, because people want to get their product out there and they want to get the data right away. Waiting 6 months just seems like an oblivion for a lot of folks, and it kills deals. I mean, for us, for you, for everybody, right? If we're stalled, deals get taken away, right? The whole adage of time kills all deals is true, and I think we strive for that satisfaction of our clients as well. So we want to do it faster for you. We keep pushing until we get it done. And I think even Bob, for you, we're a white glove service shop, right? We handle the conversations with the EMRs and make sure that your team is updated. But for the most part, we take care of all that. Is that correct?
That is correct. And after the initial build out, the Vorro team works extensively with us on product testing prior to the go live. So, it's a full circle. It's a full circle process.
Amazing. One more. Prior to Vorro, internal team, you spent a lot of time coordinating with vendors. Can you give me a little bit more about that and how did that change?
I mean, a lot of times it would be like me making an initial outreach to an EMR vendor, struggle to find the correct person in that organization to begin talks with, getting the game plan together with that EMR vendor, and then coordinating our developers to work with that EMR vendor. And it was just a whole lot of people from different sides of the office that had to come together and try and piece that together. Whereas now I send off an email, make an introduction, and I sit by and wait until I'm advised, hey, it's time to start testing.
Yeah, and I don't want to make people assume that we have a magic kind of connection. I think we just built those relationships over time, right? So we know who to call, we know how to get in touch with them and advocate for our clients. And that really is enough, because finding the right contact to an email address that gets thousands of requests every day doesn't work, right? Like you're going to be pulling out your hair trying to get someone to answer your phone call. And, I think that's where we'd love to provide that value for our customers for sure.
Absolutely.
Ballpark, what would you value the return on investment with the Vorro relationship?
I wouldn't do without it right now. That's how important it is to me.
I appreciate that.
I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today without these integrations doing what they do.
So we always talk about, quality, price, how's the quality? Do you
very high quality and affordable, not cheap by any measure, but I'm not paying for cheap. I'm paying for quality.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. All right. Well, also, there's always going to be some quality instances, whether they be in missed or delayed demographic updates. Anything to speak home about that you found with working with Vorro?
Yeah, those kind of situations that you mentioned. If there is a downtime, if there is a server timeout, if a server does get caught in a loop, it's not typically a customer of mine that brings it to our attention, and it's not me that brings it to attention. It's someone from Vorro that brings it to my attention and says, hey, this is what's happening. We're on it.
Love that, right? So we always try to be responsive, and it sounds like the team's doing a great job of alerting you before the whole world does.
They're running constant monitoring on all of the traffic, and so they can let me know of any kind of downtime or blips that happen along the way. Yeah,
and we're constantly investing in self-healing as well in the pipeline. So we've invested a lot of time and energy to make sure if something goes down, to retry, but more importantly, that the data is safe, right? So we won't push something to a down environment. We'll hold it. We'll make sure that it's completed, satisfactory, and only then do we restart the pipeline after we fix the issue. So I think that's showing off some benefits, which is good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Once the interface goes live, was there any visibility limits or issues that you saw?
There has been nothing that we have not received that we have requested. Any kind of tweaks, any kind of asks for additional information, or any kind of formatting change that we have ever asked for, we have always received it at a fabulously speedy amount of time.
That's great. Now, business and technology, right? We're getting very close to each other. Back then, it was like you hand over stuff to tech. With the notion of AI and everything coming in, integrations are no longer technical, right? I want to see data. I want to play with the data as a business user. I want to have trends. How has that impacted your business? Do you have the visibility that you need to see the data, and are you making decisions based on it, or is it pure just integration side?
It's, for the most part, it is integration side, but we do receive daily updates. If, for example, a record, a medication record, let's say it's transmitted from the EOR to EHO. And let's say maybe EHO does not have a particular NDC number in our system that's coming over from that EMR vendor. Well, rather than that transaction just vanishing and never being seen again, we receive daily reports of any of that missing data so that we can update our database accordingly to capture all of those transactions without process moving forward.
That's great. It's such insight, and it's getting better, right? We have the ability to kind of influence how revenue is being made, the customer experience level. So, I mean, I think just unlocking that data from multiple sources just gives us as executives a little bit more oomph to back up our kind of projections, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's been, at least from my side too. And, I think EHO-R-X, when you're looking at kind of the pharmacy benefits and the customer profile that you're looking at, especially in the rural regions that we were talking about, gives you a lot more clarity on which drug and how to price it, et cetera. So that's really cool. What drove the Vorro partnership in your mind? Like, why us? Why did you feel like that was a good decision?
Well, we were having trouble getting our foot in the door with a large EMR vendor that we were needing to get an integration with in order to get one of their customers. Mm. And so a colleague of mine had mentioned that Vorro was specializing in integrations. And so I reached out to you guys, and it's been heaven since then.
Fantastic. Is there any sort of healthcare standards besides I think HL7 and FIRE are the most ones, but every facility probably interprets the data differently, right? Can you speak to that a little bit? Like, is it just a different message? Is it a different communication style? How does that work? Or is it a different formulation?
It's a lot of it is going to be, some of them are going to be in real time. Some of them are in near real time. And like you say, I mean, it's pretty standardized as far as, the HL7 and FIRE, et cetera. But there are outliers out there. And it's just something we didn't have time to deal with.
Yeah. And I'd imagine the same thing is probably on facility constraints, right? Are there specific constraints that hospices have versus, I assume a jail, right? Because they have to go out and get the medication and whatnot. Anything that you see specifically that EHO-R-X really helps those facilities kind of deal with?
One thing that we do that really helps the hospices a lot, and Vorro has helped us do this with the information coming from the EMR vendor, is we'll oftentimes break these hospices down into what we call like different divisions or different satellite offices. And so that way, when we do all of the reporting for them and invoicing for them, all of that stuff is broke down by those different satellite locations so they can better watch their spend and make it all more manageable.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have not to put anybody in a box, but there's not a large IT infrastructure at a hospice or a big jail for pharmaceuticals, right? So, I mean, I think you're bridging the gap there with Vorro, trying to help them kind of understand what's eligible to them and their pricing. And so they can get real-time information.
Oh, you're 100% correct. Typically your hospice programs and your jails, they're not going to have necessarily a full-time IT staff, to be able to come in and try and maximize these workflows. So they're looking for us to do that. And when we were looking for help to do that, that's when we reached out to Vorro.
Yeah, very cool. So talk to me about, I know you have also, well, you have the PBM side, right? I'd love to know a little bit more about that for the listeners, and the workers' compensation reality, right? Like, how is EHO-R-X kind of changing the game in those two areas?
We are basically, with the exception of these interfaces, we code everything in-house.
Yeah.
So from the claims processing, the rules engine, all of the transactional data that occurs between us and the pharmacies is all built in-house here in our offices in Central Texas.
Yeah, that drives so many things, right? You're talking about dispensing, billing, compliance, patient safety. There's a lot to it, and that needs to be done.
Yeah, and decisions aren't made by committee around here.
Great. End-to-end ownership. How would you feel Vorro does? So you're looking for a partner that can really take the reign. I think you said that you could sit back when you're asking for an EMR to be built out. Mm-hmm. What else does that mean to you?
Oh, it frees up so much time. It frees up time, not just for me, but, other folks here in our office, because we're not busy chasing something and hoping for results. We ask you guys to handle it and we receive results.
That's great. I think
that's worth a lot to us.
Yeah. I mean, I think we like to try to own the requirements. Obviously, we're going to contact our clients to get an understanding of what's going on. We'll connect directly with the EMRs that we mentioned, test the interfaces. So, we try to make sure that our customers are well taken care of. We'll manage the deployments, maintain the production systems like we do for you. And then, obviously, if there's any issues, we'll be proactive to resolve them. Let's see what else we have. Let me talk with support different transfer methods. Facilities just don't differ in data format. They also differ in how data moves. And I think that's just that's rampant across the whole industry, right? But what do you see there? I mean, I know there's different APIs, probably. Some of them rely on just file transfer, right?
See, that's the beauty of it, is that we have our own suite of APIs, that we had built here in-house that, they support our business. Well, with all of these different EMR vendors that have all of the different formats and, different file types and everything of how they, submit that medication through that interface, that is all then, it goes from the EMR vendor through Vorro. And no matter what format it's in, it gets repackaged and submitted through our APIs.
Perfect.
So,
right?
Yeah, that's just fabulous.
No fuss, no muss. We're talking about taking data from any type. We put it into the Vorro Data Hub. From the Vorro Data Hub, we can transpose, modify to any data type to go upstream and then back. Right. So that really saves a lot of customers a ton of time, because we already have that built out into the no-code platform. So I'm glad that that's helping as well. We're almost at time. And I think the most important one left, Bob, is compliance and safety, right? How important is that in this industry?
It's paramount. I mean, when you're dealing with patient data, if you're not handling that data securely, you might as well just close the doors and go home, because that at the end of the day, it's the most important thing there is.
Yeah, medical is non-forgiving on compliance and safety. It's probably the number one question I still get to this day. With our HIPAA, with our ability that we don't even need to see the data. And one question I get asked a lot is, well, we don't want to share our data. You don't have to. It's your data, right? We don't even have to have access to your data. You hold the keys. You tell us when you want us to come in and maintain something and shut off access. But at the end of the day, we are just your hosting element. Everything's encrypted, right? And again, that's another way to make sure that your data is never touched. And then we leverage SOC 2 with our hyperscaler partners as well. So if there's any interest in trying to get some hyperscaler funding to do this, but security is definitely paramount. I totally agree with you.
Oh yeah, totally.
Bob, any advice for other PBMs or healthcare tech companies facing the similar challenge?
Call Manish.
That's great.
I mean,
Easy and simple.
Yeah, I mean it. Like I said before, it's been a game changer, and I wouldn't be sitting here where I am without it.
That's awesome.
It's just been very, very helpful. Working with all of the guys there is a wonderful experience. Enjoyed everyone that I've worked with. You send them an email, you have I'm not going to say immediate response, but it's almost immediate. And it's a wonderful experience.
Hey, and if anybody from our friends at Hospice Care, right, point of care facilities, jails, correction workers, anybody that needs workers' comp, Bob Kerb, Senior Vice President of EHO-R-X, Account Management, will be your guy to talk to. We're hoping to do a lot more business together, and together I think we can succeed at a lot more business for sure in the future. Bob, thanks so much for your time, sir. Always a pleasure again.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
Thank you for your time.